And we are live. Welcome to a special 4:30 p.m. edition of the NBA Deeper Dive. 45 minutes from us, 45 minutes from Live Before Lock, and an NBA lock at 6 p.m. NBA Cup style tonight. Heat and Magic at 6, Knicks and Raptors at 8:30. I'm Josh Engelman. That's Chris Spags. And we've got a lot to break down because this is a two-game slate. And it means we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. Everybody's in play today. Get excited. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live, and then follow us both on Twitter. It's just our names. We make it easy. We're not like everybody else here. Josh Engelman, Chris Spags, simple. Not extra characters, no double underscores like DK. None of that stuff. Although technically, yours isn't real, but we won't get into that. What's going on?
That's my nom de plume. It's been my stage name enough now. I think it's close enough. I would change it legally if it weren't like a pain in the ass to do that, I think. And if
like if it was just a button press.
Yeah, if it was a button press and like it would apply for Luca too, and that would be easy. And also if my wife wouldn't think I was like an R word for doing that, I think it would be that would all be fine. Unfortunately, many of those things are not true. Excited for the slate. I think it's a fun one. The crappy part of the slate is that the things that we need to know the most about is gonna be that second game. And I am not sure if we'll get it, before lock. I know there are always people in the chat that are like, oh, I don't want to have to move my lineups. And I don't mean to give you guys like a curmudgeon-y old New York man voice, but I think that's the vibe. Like, I don't want to swap late. I can't do it. And it's like, that's what we're going to have to do today, most likely, if we don't get that news. I guess you might get Jamal Shed starting for Toronto. You might get Josh Chucky Hepburn starting if Quickly and Shed is out for the NBA Cup. I got to think those guys play. It's the Cup, baby. That's what we say.
Well, I can tell you this much. Chucky Hepburn is not starting today unless like a violent bout of AIDS is ripping through the Raptors today.
Violent bout of AIDS, huh?
Whatever. I promise you it's not him.
He's been the third point guard. Like none of them are playing. Like AJ Lawson's not playing either. I assume it would be Lawson or Hepburn like getting the nominal start.
Chucky Hepburn has played 5 minutes in the last 10 Raptors games. He is not going to start their quarterfinal NBA Cup game unless a bus crashes on the way to the game.
Well, it probably won't matter because Quickly's going to play. Like Quickly, I feel like to me, out of all the guys, and we saw Ant, kind of a similar gamer kind of guy, downgraded to questionable for illness yesterday. He played. I think Quickly plays. Like I think Quickly's got that dog in him enough to play through an illness.
We're about to find out. It's going to be interesting one way or the other. Let's just look. We've got 45 minutes. We've got 4 teams to hit on. We can take our time and get to every single one of them. So buckle up right now, everybody. Here we go. Miami Heat at the Orlando Magic. Heat, 1.5 point dogs, 235 total. We got the Heat news today because we had a bunch of up in the air nonsense. Well, I mean, I guess technically it was mostly Drew Smith, but everybody's available. That said, while everybody is available, I'm not totally confident that everybody that's typically available is playing today. Now, I expect the Mitchell, Hero, Powell, Wiggins, Bam Adebayo starting lineup, but I guess we could just start here. Is there anything that you specifically like from Miami? We've got Powell and Bam at 30% ownership, Hero and Wiggins at 25, Davion bringing in about 15, and then it's relatively minimal after that. Do you have a Miami guy yet?
I would say my favorite guy is Powell here. I think that's mostly the positionality, as we always talk about. The multi-position eligibility is a key part of things. Sometimes we're building good lineups, and Powell is shooting guard, small forward at a price tag that I think works well enough, but he's really not like a great projection play to me or anything. Like I have him 0.2 higher than Stokastic, so it's not really a big lean, but I think he does make lineups work, so he'd be my guy. But I'm really curious your thoughts on Bam Adebayo because I'm getting real low on him, and I think it's mostly a reflection of the fact that this year he has been kind of underperforming with the Heat getting a little more firepower, bringing guys like Powell in, Ware rebounding well. Now you have Hero in the mix. I am dangerously low on Bam, and I don't think I will be in my final lineup set. But like everybody else, I'm kind of with the field a little bit above it on the Heat. Bam is the one where I'm like, I'm just not getting him.
So he's tricky for me. I'm basically right around the field. This is one of the spots that I'm most nervous about from a playing time perspective. Not that I think that Bam is not going to get as much playing time as normal. Very much the exact opposite. not that I think this matters, but he played 40 minutes 2 games ago. It's just nice to know that that's in the cards. And I think we're very live to see someone that typically plays for Miami to just not play today. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get 36 out of Bam, 36 out of Wiggins, 36 out of Powell, something like that out of Hero, something else out of Davion. That's the part that's scaring me the most here for Bam. And it's part of the reason I would like to just be in and around the field. I just think he has the opportunity to play a boatload more than he typically does. And if that's the case, like, I'm not saying that that makes me love him, because I think there are a lot of guys on the slate today that have that same sort of vibe. I'm apprehensive to get away from like the good dudes for most of these teams. And Bam, for right now, Bam doesn't appear to be one of those guys. It helps that like I don't really care too much about center overall today, and that makes me like Bam a little bit more. But I don't have any sort of like negative thoughts on Bam right now.
Yeah, okay, that's fair, and I think that's a good, I would say reality check for me, but like, that's sort of how I'm viewing the slate as well. Is like, I'm low on Bam right now. I think when I run my final lineups in a little bit, I'll probably boost him a little bit to make sure I'm getting him like at least 20% or so. If the field's going to be at 30, 33, because that's just the kind of slate it is when we have a 2-game slate. But it does stand out to me. Like, I've been low on Bam a lot of slates lately. I know he has hit occasionally, but like I have done okay on some slates where he has been kind of overowned, and I just don't have the projection there. But yeah, like I've liked Powell a lot this year. Bam, I've been low on this year. That's definitely the case for me today again.
Powell, I agree with your assessment. Like, he's just a guy that I'm typically nervous about getting to on a 2-game slate. Like, that all kind of goes out the window. But oh wow. On my last run, so right before this started, Powell is my third most faded guy on today's slate. So we're on the same page there. I looked through this morning. I don't really have a great answer for it. I'm leaning that Pelle Larsson is the guy that gets the least amount of playing time out of the dudes that are typically out there. We're kind of splitting the difference between Larsson and Fontecchio. It wouldn't shock me if it were Fontecchio either, but we've only had 2 instances where this team was at full strength, where Hero was back and all these guys were in. In one of those, Fontecchio played 7 minutes. In the latter of those games, Pelle Larsson played 8. It would not surprise me if either one of those numbers became 0 for today, and we just consolidated all of these guys. So that's the kind of thing that's happening to me when I get to the Heat. I'm way more interested in like Tyler Hero. I'm a bit over the field. Andrew Wiggins. I'm a bit over the field. Your boy, Davion Mitchell. I'm a bit over the field. I'm getting to a bit more of this Miami team, and I'm hoping that they just lock these guys down and play them some extra minutes. I'm going to be nowhere near the Miami bench today.
Yeah, and I think that's fair too. I mean, that seems like that should be the general rule of thumb for these NBA Cup games that now are, fully meaningful with them being, knockout round and all that. I think for me, I mean, you mentioned this on the strategy show this morning, but like somebody getting squeezed from rotation and Larson, Stokastic for 14 minutes, like I agree that might be a little bit aggressive. It is kind of crazy to think about Jovic being entirely out of the rotation. Like, I know he is competing with Ware, and Bam for minutes, but like, do you think he's like a flat 0 in minutes? Is he entirely out?
I'd be surprised if he plays at all today, but I've had this conversation on the show before. This is a dude that goes from like playing 0 minutes to then he'll start and play 30, and then he'll play 12, and then he'll play 28, and then he'll play 16, then he'll be out of the rotation, then he'll start again. I never trust that dude, but my expectation, I am not expecting him to step foot on the floor today.
Okay, yeah. I mean, because it does seem like really for the Heat, you should mostly just be playing, Bam, Hero, and I am, a little bit above on Hero. I think the upside's there, even though his rates have been down a little bit. Like the assist rate in particular seems like it's faltering a lot compared to last year so far. But like the starters, with Bam, Hero, Powell, Wiggins, and Davion, I think certainly the least interesting out of the group by a decent margin. I'm with you. I think those guys are the only ones you can really trust. I know people like Khalil Ware often more than I do, but the minute's not really there in the data, and I don't necessarily want to get to that spot. Yeah, I think for me, it's just the top 5, and that's probably it for Miami.
Yeah, like Ware could play upwards of 27 minutes today, and I wouldn't be surprised. Jaquez could get to 28 minutes today, and I wouldn't be surprised. But I don't think those guys are going to be anywhere near those numbers. That's leaving me to just like not get anywhere here. If Drew Smith wasn't 4,100, I'd be intrigued because he just kind of plays no matter what, like a very specific role. But it's hard to squeeze the value out of him when his price is sort of like exactly what it should be for his backup set. And then I certainly don't want to take any flyers on the rest of these guys. I'm going to hop over to the FanDuel side quickly just to show off the Miami data. Largely the same. Bam, north of 35% ownership. That power forward eligibility helps. Powell's at 30. Hero, Wiggins, Mitchell, all in that 25 range. It's all pretty much in line across both sites today. So that's helpful, at least for talking through this piece. But let's go to the other side of this one, unless you have anything else you want to add for Miami right now.
No, I would just say like Hero, I do think with how he's played so far this year, he does seem like a guy. I mean, he's shooting well enough. He's just not really kind of ball hawking as much as he used to. And I think on FanDuel, definitely the optimal rate seems appreciably higher than the ownership. DraftKings, I imagine it's a little bit closer, but I think he's one of those plays to me that people are not excited to click at this point. But I do think for me, if I'm getting a little bit light on Bam, I'd want to be up on Hero a little bit more.
This one is a little bit bigger when it comes to ownership, and I think it's more interesting to talk about Orlando Magic. Now, these guys are weird today because now we have no Franz Wagner, but we have Paolo Banchero. But like, do we have Paolo Banchero? Because that's a different question. We don't know how ready to go he is from a minutes perspective. Jalen Suggs is 50% owned at 6,600. Anthony Black is 50% owned at 5,400. He's got the MPE. Bane's getting 40. Wendell Carter's getting 40. Tristan Da Silva's 35. Goga is 20 because he's 3,900. Then we get to Banchero, about 20% owned, 8,500, and a very small amount of John Isaac, who I couldn't care less about. And now that I say that, I'm quite confident he'll just be incredible. I have Jalen Suggs in everything. We can start there.
Yeah, same page as you. I'm getting Suggs at 71% right now. He's about a 38 fantasy point projection for Stokastic, and I'm right in that range as well. The big thing that stands out is, it's not the biggest sample size this year, but he has put up a just shy of a 30% usage rate with Franz Wagner off the court. And I think it's one of those things too. I mean, I think you're hitting at it with the ownership there, but Franz being out, I think is pretty meaningful for the team because he does contribute a pretty good amount of usage, does get some rebounds, does get some assists. You're talking about vacating those stats in every category. So along with, a good amount of minutes as well, one of the, highest minutes earners on the team. So I think for him being out, everybody who gets to the rotation is going to look better. And you add on top of that, Miami's defense is pretty solid, but they are the fastest paced team in the league. So you're gaining possessions as well. So I think really, for Suggs in particular, it makes a lot of sense with more possessions, more shots and turnovers being created by him, more potential for assists, and the usage has been high for him. And I played Suggs a lot this year. Like, I think I'm pretty comfortable playing him at massive volume. We'll see if the field is happy about doing that today. But I like Suggs the most out of the Magic, I think, relative to ownership.
Yeah, we're on the same page there. Here's an alert with no information whatsoever. Paolo Banchero remains on a minutes limit per coach. Banchero has played 20, followed by 24 minutes in his 2 games back. So that doesn't mean anything to me at all, because what the hell? I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably
is it 24? Like is it 28?
So Stokastic has given him 30 right now, and he's still not getting into a ton of lineups. So I think that's a good litmus test where he's not going to get 32. I don't think he's going to get it wouldn't be a minutes limit if it were 34, 35. So I think it's got to be 28, maybe lucky you get 30, and he's not coming up at 30, at least, for me. So I think that's somewhat helpful to know, I guess.
I don't anticipate getting him regardless of this scenario, but I certainly don't think that the minutes limit has to be real today. There's no part of me that would be surprised if he played 32 minutes. Not at all. I mean, I trust nobody, especially in the NBA Cup day.
If they're being that cautious though with him, I mean, because 20 to 24, I feel like it's usually similar increments it goes up. That might be just me trying to identify pattern, but it does usually feel like it goes up four, 6. I don't think it gets to 30.
I think if this game is close and he's at 22 in the fourth quarter, I wouldn't be surprised if he was on from the 8-minute mark out and got to 30. They have no. This isn't like they're going to get fined for not setting the minutes limit correctly.
Right.
Like it could be anything. We have no concept. We just know that he played 24 minutes last time out, but we don't know what it is for today. All best we could do is just watch how people bet on it, watch how the markets move, and try to adjust accordingly. But at the very least, he'd be somebody that I'd be willing to give like an extra bump of variance in the Sims for, because I don't think it's like set in stone that he doesn't just go out there and play normal minutes and we're like, oh, coaches lie again. Who could have seen that coming? That said, I don't have any Paolo Banchero and I don't anticipate it.
No, I think that those are fair points, and I appreciate you bringing the other side because I do think a lot of people, kind of like Justin Herbert yesterday, for people who play the Monday Night Football slate, where everybody's so worried about the hand injury and like, oh, he's not going to run. He ends up being the team's leading rusher yesterday, so that's a different sport, different situation, all of that. But I think that's fair, especially on a 2-game DFS slate. I can't imagine wanting to get more than the field of Paolo. The field's going to play him, just shy of 20%. But certainly if he goes nuts, and going back to last year without Franz, he has like a 37% usage rate, like Franz plus Cole Anthony. And I think, Caldwell Pope, like you take all those guys off, he has a shot a lot. So maybe he just goes nuts in 30 minutes and that's it.
I am also quite a bit over the field on Desmond Bane. So I want to point that out. Big Bane guy. I've got a pretty decent chunk over the field of Wendell Carter Jr. I'm a bit over the field on Tristan da Silva. I'm a bit over the field on Goga Batadze. I've got all things Orlando right now, except for Anthony Black, who is my biggest fade of the day right now. I bet some of his unders. It's 5,400. He's point guard, shooting guard eligible. How do you feel about this coin flip of Anthony Black, who is 50% owned right now?
I'm getting a little bit more of Anthony Black. I've got him at about 59, 60. I don't mind that number for Anthony Black. I think that, what stands out is that he has gotten about 4% more usage with Franz off the court this year. And, for Black, we have seen him, get appreciable minutes in these kind of spots before. And Stokastic has him for 31 minutes. So I like Black. I think that, to me, like, really, you make a case for any of the Magic guys. I like Bane, you mentioned being above on. I like him a lot. His rates take a massive jump. He's been about a 30% usage rate guy, a 26% assist rate guy this year compared to normally 23.5 and 20.6. So like Bane, I think, has been a disappointment overall this year with, the team at full stock, full health. But taking Wagner off seems to be at least a small sample size recipe for getting him where he needs to go. But I like all these guys. Like, I really think the guards stand out the most with Bane and Black. But I'm like you. I'm above on Wendell Carter. I'm above on Da Silva. I'm not fading any of them besides Banchero, I guess, and Goga. I'm not getting really into Goga right now.
Yeah, I think Black is the easiest guy to get away from, which I'm okay with. Now, he's been playing massive minutes. He's played 30 or more in 4 out of the last 5. None of those are starts. He's just getting that run, and he's been great. Like, I like Anthony Black as a dude. He's changing up the Magic, which is fun. But I'm nervous that this is when push comes to shove, that this is a bench guy at 5,400. I certainly think that like Tristan da Silva can just play well and get a couple extra minutes. If I'm right and Paolo Banchero is just able to get a couple extra minutes, they're coming from somewhere. Now, they could be coming from this ass end of Jet Howard and Noah Penda and Jace Richardson and these like blowout run, spillover minute type guys. Or they could just limit Tyus Jones as well. But I think if I had to get away from one piece from Orlando, it's Anthony Black, which I don't love, admittedly, especially with the MPE. But that's the one piece of Orlando that I'm not getting to. So I have little doubt he'll be like the highest scorer of the day.
Yeah, I mean, like I get it, and I think for me, I just don't see the need to have a negative stand on any of them because, like, I can get above on the Silva by a little bit. I get above on Black, and it's not really, I'm still getting enough lineups that don't include him that I'm not too worried about that. And he projects well. I mean, I'm shocked to see a 31 fantasy point number on him from Stokastic. Like, I've got him at 30.4, and that's enough for me to get him meaningfully above the field. So I think it's a pretty big cosign, and really in the Stokastic data for the projections for Bane, Suggs, Black, and Wendell Carter, who I feel like I also never am excited to get, but they're giving him almost a 28-point projection. Like, pretty aggressive numbers for Orlando today in the Stokastic data.
Yeah, I've got 27.5 on Black, so that's probably part of the reason I'm not getting anywhere near the 50% ownership. He's in 15% of my lineups right now, and I'm expecting it's going to stay that way. Sorry, Anthony Black. Who wins game one?
I think, I mean, Orlando's obviously favored here, so we should say that out loud. I think Orlando, but that's not a strong lean. I do like the team getting some consolidated usage. Like, I think they're one of those teams where getting one guy out obviously doesn't make them better if he gets like a playoff environment. For a regular season environment, though, consolidated minutes and getting one guy out, I think will hopefully bring out the best of these guys. So I would go Orlando, and maybe comfortably.
Well, I bet the Heat. So go Heat. However,
I mean, there's more value on the Heat, obviously, if they're the dog.
However, I have Orlando to win the NBA Cup, so I have a very vested interest in Orlando to pick up this dub today. Technically speaking, hold on, I am getting 1.5. So realistically, Magic by 1 would be a real awesome scenario for me where I can continue my NBA Cup bet and cover the Heat bet.
All right, that's a needle to thread. It's possible.
Yeah. All I need is a 1-point victory from the Magic. I mean, how difficult will that be? I can't wait to see like somebody miss a garbage free throw at the end with 0.1 on the clock or something, and I just lose my mind. That's going to happen. But if that happens, that's fine. There will be other bets, and I will likely get them from Portfolio EV, which is 50% off right now, thanks to Greg. Greg is trying to get his bankroll challenge up over $200. He started with $100 at the start of the NBA season, and he's knocking on the door at $200. This was going to go away last night if he hit it, but he's just shy of that 200 mark right now. So the promo is still alive. The link is in the description. Enter the promo code 200 when you check out, and you will get Portfolio EV for 50% off. That is in addition to a free week if you've never signed up at Portfolio EV before. So if you want to take a market-based approach to beating the books, grind out micro edges across 100 bets a day, potentially on a huge NBA day, that's pretty fun. Or, not even or use it to fire off some positive EV parlays. Put together a bunch of legs, find your boosts at whatever book you're using, and give yourself the opportunity to offset maybe some of the correlation in a same-game parlay, or just simply give yourself a little bit more bonus. You get boosts all day, every day, across all of the sports books. The first thing you should be doing each day is using those, and then get to the rest of whatever you're going to do. Portfolio EV makes that a lot easier. The link is in the description. Click it and use the code 200. That is 200. Hell of a read.
Real fast, Josh, before you transition, somebody's saying this, you picked the Bulls to win, now you changing. I have to say, and you might have done this, that does not sound like you. I can't imagine you picking the Bulls to win anything in the history of basketball ever.
I love when people have no idea what they're saying and they want to dive in this shit, which is fascinating. First and foremost, those odds could have been 1,000,000 to 1, and I wouldn't have bet the Bulls to win the NBA Cup. So let's start there. Second of all, I took the Bulls to win their group, which is a different thing than winning the NBA Cup. Also, their bets. I could bet on both of them to win the NBA Cup. They're not like that's a thing you can do.
You gotta stick with one forever, no matter what the situation changes. Yeah. You gotta ride by them. You married a team when you place a bet.
And boy, oh boy, did I feel good about that Bulls one after they won their first game, as I expected them to do. I was like, oh, this is going to be great. Like, they got the right home games. They got the home win they needed, and then they barfed it away.
That's the Bulls for you.
Yeah. So, yeah, I bet the only team that I picked to win the NBA Cup was technically the Magic. However, realistically, I kind of had the Pistons as well. I had Cade to win NBA Cup MVP, which is, basically the same bet as the Pistons to win the NBA Cup, but just better odds at the time. Oh, well. You ready for game number 2?
The most important game on the slate. I really pray we know some information in the next hour.
Oh, I mean, I 100% want none of this information until the first game locks, without question. But we got the Knicks. And for the Knicks, we've got some big news. Karl Anthony Towns is questionable for today. Not to mention, we're already without Miles McBride and Landry Shamet. But Shamit's been out. Dadier not available as well, just for anybody that wanted to play a guy that was definitely not going to step foot on the floor. But no McBride matters. Obviously, Towns will matter in a much different way. Like, if Towns ends up out, there is preposterous value coming from the New York Knicks. If Karl Anthony Towns is in, however, about 35% ownership to Bridges, Anunoby, and Towns, 25 to a $4,200 Jordan Clarkson, just 20 to Brunson, 20 to Hart, 10 to Mitchell Robinson. Assuming everybody is in, which direction would you like to go for the Knicks?
I think it's really OG Anunoby by a decent margin for me. There just is nobody positionally who looks like him at that price tag, which I think is, a way I'm getting a lot of common lineups around him. And Anunoby projects decently well. For me, I have him at about 29.8, which is a little bit higher than Stokastic's projection at 28.3. So those factors combined, again, to really like power forward at 5,900, there's just not a player around him. So when you build lineups out, I think you're going to find OG Anunoby makes it in, or at least seems like a viable play. More than not. And if you get Towns out, that play will look even better. So OG, I'm over on. Bridges, I'm also a little bit above the field on 37%. Again, the same positionality reasons. But I would love to get Towns out here because I think it would make the other guys look a lot more playable, in particular Brunson and Hart, who I'm hovering around the field on, but not quite getting any big number on. But as it is, I think Bridges and Anunoby look good. And certainly if Towns is out, those guys will look incrementally better.
Yeah, this one's scaring the hell out of me because I wanted to get to the Knicks today, and I'm way under on Bridges, way under on Towns, way under on Hart, way under on Brunson. Don't really have any Mitchell Robinson. And I find all of these guys fascinating today because if you told me Mikal Bridges played 40 minutes, I'd be like, yeah, of course he did. It's the NBA Cup. Why wouldn't he? Same for Brunson to a degree. Same for Josh Hart. Mitchell Robinson played more minutes in the start he just got with Towns out. Could they just go double bigs a little bit more today? Probably. Makes me want to get to a 10% owned Mitchell Robinson. That's kind of scary. The only guy that I'm jamming here is the one guy on the Knicks that I can't stand, and it's Jordan Clarkson. He's in like 80% of my stuff, 4,200, shooting guard, small forward eligible. We don't have a ton of good value on the slate. He hits the MPE, and there's no Miles McBride, so there aren't a lot of people on his corner. To me, it's either Clarkson plays slightly more than we normally see, and he's just a really great value. But if he doesn't, then I really wish that I had all these starting dudes, because at that point, I think Bridges is playing 40 and Brunson's playing 40.
And that's definitely the way that I'm playing it. So I feel good that you kind of vocalize the other outcome because, and against 2-game slate, I think I naturally get a little more balanced ownership. It seems like you're making more, generally some more stands on guys, which I can appreciate as well. But I think the Knicks, to me, they all look pretty viable as plays for the most part, the starters in particular. And I'm not getting Clarkson, getting only 9% Clarkson. So Mitchell Robinson, I'm willing to take the stab on more. I'm getting 25% of him in the fields at 10. But really, I'd prefer to get the core Knicks if I can. Obviously, though, you are paying more than full freight for them if Towns is in, for sure.
Yeah, I'm like 2 points higher on Clarkson than we are, which is driving a lot of that for me. What's really surprising is that I'm 2 points higher on Mitchell Robinson and still not getting him. So that I'm surprised by. Got a cough.
Yeah, I'm actually a point.
In my throat.
I'm a point higher on Mitchell Robinson, and I'm 2 points lower on Clarkson. So I'm 4 points lower than your Clarkson. That'll be the difference between us.
And I'm higher on Brunson. I'm not getting him. I'm right there with Hart. I'm not getting him. I'm a little nervous. I'm going to look into the Knicks a little bit if and when I have to. But, scary. Do you think that Jordan Clarkson is going to step into some sort of extra run with no Miles McBride? Typically McBride, when he's not starting, playing 20, 21, 22 minutes. So that's realistically what we have to redistribute. Do you think Clarkson's the guy, or do you want to try to preemptively get to a Gershon Yabusele or a Huck Porty and kind of hope for the best later?
I mean, I'm cool with the 22 minutes that we're getting for Clarkson right now. I think that's a fair representation. But I think if it came down to what do they need more of? I doubt they need what Clarkson brings to the table as much as they might a Yabusele. I mean, there really isn't anybody else who's even a competent wing defender, which is obviously what McBride, I think, is bringing first and foremost, vaguely competent 3-point shooting, decent wing defense. For Clarkson, You're not getting, I think, the key part of why they play McBride. So I think there's a shot Yabusele gets a few more minutes. Like I just don't trust Clarkson getting 22 minutes necessarily. Like I think he can get 17 and Yabusele gets like 15 or something like that. And then you're getting
You're
a little
naming
bit
the
more.
wrong Nick, brother. You're naming the wrong Nick.
Who?
Porty got 23 minutes last time out with no Towns. Yabu got 11. They don't play this dude ever. 14, 12, 12, 6, 10, 8, 9, 9, 11. They unearthed Huck Porty last time out. 3,500 center. I don't know how you play it. Like, but I think he's ahead of Yabu.
I agree. Like, but that was filling Towns minutes. Like, I think if we're talking about like you need defense, you need somebody on the wing. Like Yabu's the only option they have. Like that can actually play vaguely competent defense against Barnes, Ingram. Like he could defend Ingram. I don't think that would be a hard case for him.
Ultimately, I don't think it matters. But if Towns is out, I'm very intrigued to see where the ownership goes between Yabu and Huck Porty. Because I think it will naturally go to Yabu more because he's slightly cheaper and has the power forward eligibility. But I also think he's live to just still not play. Like, real minutes. Which will be very interesting. And at that point, the real guy you're playing then is Mitchell Robinson. Because at 4,300 and getting, I don't know, 23 minutes, it's a real big problem. Okay.
Yeah, Mitchell would be in there, I think, if Towns is out, no matter what. I think the Huck Porty part / like the Clarkson part, I think those are fungible pieces that depend on how the game's going. If they need scoring, you get Clarkson more. If you need defense, I just don't know that you put Clarkson out there. But that's, it's all guesswork, obviously.
By the way, in that most recent game with no Towns, 25 minutes for Mitchell Robinson, 23 minutes for Ariel Huck Porty, 11 for Yabu. So they absolutely were keeping Mitchell Robinson and Huck Porty away from each other, which makes sense. Neither one of those guys offensively gifted. Man, it all looks kind of weird. The Anunoby piece is just put him in the same bucket as Paolo Banchero. You're going to be surprised if OG Anunoby plays 36 minutes today, because I won't.
No, I like the 31 projection that Stokastic has for minutes wise. I feel like I can live with that number, but yeah, it'd be great if he played more because I'm going to be heavily above the field on him.
All right, let's hit this super chat quickly since we need to get this one in. Miami Orlando showdown slate, top 2 chalk, top 2 golden turds to look out for in the captain spot. Shout out Jordan Kenworthy. I've got it pulled up right now. In terms of chalk, it's hard to say there's a top 2. It's more like a top 3. It's Barnes, it's Towns, and it's Brunson. They're all like just over 60% owned. So I think that would be like the chalk trio. I mean, realistically, you're probably playing 2 of those 3 guys, unless you're punting captain in some way. Captain ownership is 20% to Barnes, about 20 to Towns, 15 to Brunson, and then everybody's like 10 or below. I mean, the Towns being 10-4 and more owned than Brunson scares the hell out of me. Like, I prefer Brunson in the captain spot to Towns there. And then if Barnes is going to be double Ingram at 8,800 there, I prefer Ingram in the captain spot if I wanted to get a little different.
Yeah, I like Barnes as a play overall because I think that price tag is pretty nice. He'd be my top protected guy out of that group. But I would probably not want to play him at captain with that ownership. I think I'd go to like somebody else, roll the dice. Quickly plays, I'd absolutely roll the dice with him. I like Barnes a lot. I don't know about golden turds. Golden turd for me. Yeah, I don't think there's any golden turds in that game.
It's hard in the NBA when it comes to like captain spot stuff. Like when those guys are 15 and 20% owned, it's happening because they're Scotty Barnes, they're Karl Anthony Towns, they're Jalen Brunson. It's like I can't tell you guys that I think those guys are going to blow today. They're good. That's just, there's nothing I can do.
Oh wait, he's actually got some Miami Orlando slate. Not, we just did the Knicks Toronto showdown instead of.
Oh, my bad. I'm dumb.
We debated a thing that he did not care, but there you go. There's your showdown takes for.
Yeah, I mean, I just assumed it was for the first one. So that's why I did it. I don't even know. Do we have that up? I might not even be able to look at this. I don't think we put the second game ownership stuff up until after the first one locks.
But Miami Orlando's the first game.
Well, then why is that showing up?
It might not have like a marquee tournament if I had to guess, but the second Showdown probably does.
That must be it. The second one must be bigger.
I think you'd have to go into Data Hub maybe, and they might even.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, the Data Hub, they have Miami, Orlando.
They do?
Yeah.
With Data Central?
Data
Hub.
Hub.
The Sims itself. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm so dumb, dude.
That's one I use
one of
for
those days.
weirdo slates sometimes, yeah.
I never play Showdown, so I'm never thinking about this stuff. All right, Knicks and Toronto. Apologies for that. Nope, we already did that. Miami and Orlando.
It's a great bit if this were intentional.
Dude, I couldn't do a bit that good. I'm so stupid. Oh my God, it's incredible I ever succeeded in life. All right, so Bane's 20% in the captain spot. Jalen Suggs is 20% in the captain spot. Man, I would have went through that Toronto-Miami game again. I just never expected it to be this one. 15% is coming into Bam in the captain spot. If we're looking for overall ownership, it's just flat at the top with the 5 main guys. Realistically, I think Banchero is the scariest dude out of everybody in that list. He would definitely be one of those turds. He could also just be the dude. As I look at it, the 2 guys that I like the most at the top are Jalen Suggs at 7,400. Honestly, and Desmond Bane at 8K. But captain spot wise, I think Tyler Hero's pretty interesting at just 11% ownership. And then, I mean, realistically, I would probably prefer Bam in the captain spot if Bane and Suggs are both going to be at 20.
Yeah, I like Bane and Suggs at captain. I'd be cool fading Bam at captain because I just don't have him as well projected today. And still play him in the flex, I think, a decent amount because you could afford it better if you go Bane and Suggs at captain. But I like the Orlando guys captain, and I would say Bam would be my third choice. And I'm with you. Banchero would be my other captain's third choice. Third choices were easier in that game, too. So shout out to that game being the
They really were. Glad we were able to figure out what game that was, even though it was clearly labeled in the super chat. But, you know, what are you going to do? Just shy of 40% ownership coming into Scotty Barnes. 25-ish for Quickly, Ingram, and Shed. 15 to 20. Jacoby Walter, Jakob Pertl, Mamu. 10% to Colin Murray Boyles, who I think is live to not play today, but we'll have that conversation later. I am not surprised at all to see the Scotty Barnes ownership. I think he fully deserves it. Same situation for Emmanuel Quickly. Same situation for Brandon Ingram. Those guys are the easy ones. I have a hard time telling anybody that those things don't work. But Emmanuel Quickly is questionable with an illness. Jamal Shed is questionable with a right quad contusion. I have Quickly in most of my lineups. I have Scotty Barnes in most of my lineups. I have Ingram in half of my lineups. I have some Jamal Shed. So I've got a lot of the Toronto key pieces. What stands out the most to you from Toronto?
Yeah, so what stands out the most to me is I'm getting Jamal Shed a lot right now, which I'm okay with carrying into the late games because I do think we might have to swap. But I'm getting him in 60% of my lineups, which is certainly a lot. But because of the swappability, I don't mind that, especially if I get Towns out, having the ability to come off Shed. Like if Quickly's in, Towns is out, I can make that move and feel pretty good about it. So I'm getting a lot of Shed right now, but that might be a placeholder. I do think if Quickly's out, though, Shed would be a good play. I mean, he's been playing every minute. If Quickly's not out there, some overlapping minutes as well. But I think he is in play. If Quickly's in as a value, he will certainly look a lot better if Quickly were out. But I'm up on Quickly as well, getting him in about 32%, Fields at 25 and change. I'm up on Barnes as well, getting him at 50, Fields at 40 or so. I'm low on Ingram, but honestly, I think you going heavy on Toronto here makes sense. Like it's a pretty good defensive slate, and the Knicks are the worst defense on paper on the slate, which, the Knicks are a competent defense, but there really isn't like one of the, definitely no Wizards tier defense, but even not a lot of like Sacramento tier defenses here. It's a lot of teams that, are pretty good. So going to Toronto, consolidated usage a little bit more with no Barrett, and going against the Knicks team that technically is the least good defense on the slate. I think not a bad move, but I'm definitely getting the most Shed and Barnes by a good margin.
The Shed piece is interesting. If for some reason Quickly is out and Shed plays, Shed will likely be the most popular dude on the slate, or at least pretty close to it. You just give him 2 or 3 minutes, and all of a sudden it's going to be pretty hard to get away from him. Let's say they're both out, and you're being realistic about who you think is going to be the 5th starter, and it's not Audrey Hepburn's son. Who do you think it is? My lean right out of the gate is Agbaji. I could see it being Grady Dick. Those would be my two choices. I'd be surprised if it were anyone else.
So like I agree with what you're saying because I don't think they need like a primary ball handler traditional sense, but they've been like really stuck on playing one a quickly or shed. So like that's the only reason I think it's possible they might go Lawson or Hepburn, even though like I don't think of Lawson as like a traditional ball handler so much either. But he had played that role for Toronto last year, so maybe Hepburn. I mean, neither guy's gotten an assist so far this season, so technically neither is like the traditional kind of ball handler you'd want compared to guys that have gotten a lot of assists like Quickly and Shed. I think it's possible one of them starts, but I'll defer to you here. Walter starting Agbaji, I think that'd be the most likely here, and you just let Barnes and Ingram handle more, and you'd be fine with it. I just wouldn't be shocked if they started somebody weird because like it's a lot of like wanting a true point guard out there.
I think it's going to be Grady Dick if I had to guess, unless they just wanted to go wing defense. But like, I could see it being Agbaji if they wanted to just start him on Brunson. But I think they'd go to Grady Dick to try to maintain some spacing. I don't think they want to replace him with a non-shooter. Grady Dick's going to be the best shooter off the bench in terms of volume and, guy that can make it. So that is my lean right now. Whoever it ends up being, if it's Agbaji, if it's Grady Dick, if it happens to be AJ Lawson or Chucky Hepburn, we're certainly going to be looking at those guys more. I'd be very surprised if it were Garrett Temple and they played him for like the first 4 minutes of the first quarter and third quarter, but I think that's in play considering he's like the Players Association secretary or something dumb. You never know what they're going to do with stupid stuff like that. But if it's Grady Dick is a flat 3K shooting guard small forward. It is something I'm going to keep my eye on. Here's a weird one. If they're both out, what do you want to do with Jacoby Walter?
He's not playing super well in the year. 0.7 fantasy points per minute. Probably due to shoot a little bit better, but the usage isn't really there super high. I mean, he's shooting guard small forwards. If he's getting minutes, I think he would certainly appear as a value option enough. I think I'd rather get Grady Dick as the starting option there and 3K salary and the same positionality of shooting guard small forward. But I think really on the slate, we don't have good value unless Towns is out. So I think if Towns is in, Toronto's going to be your only value side if you get those 2 point guards out. So I'm pretty much willing to play whoever, we know is getting starter run, or at least is getting enough of the minutes run in the Stokastic data. But Walter's certainly not an exciting play. I think Dick is also frankly not very exciting with how he's played this year, but at least we know there's theoretical upside.
Everybody loves when there's upside in Dick.
Boing.
Mine's mostly downside in my...
Like a weeping willow. Just...
yeah. In my experience, it's downside. Oh, by the way, we haven't mentioned this yet, but Jamison Battle is also doubtful. I don't think that matters in any way, but he's not officially out yet. And I don't know, they like him when he's around.
Yeah,
I love this slate. As weird as it sounds, like obviously I don't love a 2-gamer, but I don't know, there's something fun about it where like you probably have a piece of everybody. You don't feel like you're totally dead the whole time. I like it. 50% ownership to Suggs and Black, 40 to Bane and Barnes and Carter and Bridges. We're going to include everybody here in light blue from 30 and above. Which one of those guys is the biggest turd of the day? I could read them off if you'd like.
Yeah, if you read them off for the people. So I got it full screen now.
Suggs, Black, Bane, Barnes, Wendell Carter Jr., Bridges, Tristan Da Silva, Norm Powell, Anunoby, Towns, Bam Adebayo. Who's the death sentence in that group?
Yeah, that's a lot of guys I like, but the lightest on Bam, so I'll say Bam. I think I will be a pussy and get my ownership a little bit closer to the field, but I am going to be under on Bam, I think, no matter what.
My exposure answer is Anthony Black. My gut answer is Wendell Carter Jr., which is not great because I am much more above the field on Wendell Carter Jr. right now.
He loves to not show up when everybody believes in him. That's classic Wendell Carter. Much like the Eagles. It's classic Wendell Carter Jr.
Shots fired. But you won't have to take any return fire because the deeper dive is over, folks. NBA Live Before Lock is here. Greg Ehrenberg, Eric Lindquist. They're going to take you guys all the way up till 6 o'clock. And knowing how this typically works, I expect to get some preposterous news sometime in the next 90 seconds. Come on in,
boys. Could very well be the
fine.
case. Could very well be the case. By the way, I didn't mean to be too intrusive by playing the sound effect, but I did enjoy your joke, and I thought that was the best way for me to show my appreciation.
It's perfect. Loved it.
I thought that was Josh doing
no.
that. So that's better to know that it was somebody else, an impartial third party, as opposed to Josh giving himself the laugh button.
Yeah, that actually would be hilarious. Josh tells a joke, you don't laugh at it, and he's like, "Well, there's only one way to remedy this," and just plays the sound effect.
What am I, the Big Bang Theory? Come on. You guys are killing me here.
All right, guys.
I don't need to give myself laughs. I get laughs naturally, folks. Let me get out of here.
All right, guys. Time for the NBA Live Before Lock. Now, myself and Eric, and just a 2-game slate, but it's an interesting one. So do us favors, you coming in here. If you've not already done it for Josh and Spags, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And even though it's only a 2-game slate, Eric, there's nonsense afoot. We've got Emmanuel Quickley is questionable. We got Jamal Shed is questionable. And this is going to be pretty important to the 2-gamer here. So what is your take on the Raptors questionable guys? Because it's only a 2-game slate. We also have, conveniently, the questionable guys are in the later locking game. Do you have any strong leans on whether these guys are going to be in or out?
I don't have strong leans, but I do have strong takes on as far as what you should do. And something I was doing before the show, just wanted to try it out because I came to this site because of writing and because of putting articles together back in the day when Rinpack vouched, hey, this guy was pretty good at DFS. It was very nice stuff. But I posted the first edition in like years of the NBA Slate Starter. Decided to just kind of put together exposures, talk through things on the show ahead of time and post it over to Tails. And I'm a big fan of boosting Jamal Shed today. I just don't know what you're supposed to do on this specific slate. You're not allowed to reverse engineer your lineups after the fact for news that happens after the fact. And Anthony Black and Jalen Suggs are good plays. They're really, really good plays. They're extremely popular. But I think you make more money long-term than anything, just boosting the shit out of Jamal Shed, making sure you have that in your lineups. And not saying that you just go out of your way to avoid Jalen Suggs, but like Emmanuel Quickley doesn't really do a ton for me as far as like what changes in my ROI. If you get Jamal Shed without Emmanuel Quickley, your ROI after the fact is going to look ridiculous. So for me, it's a very clear edge to this slate. I think that's why Josh was saying that he likes it here. You have outs in Grady Dick and Ochai Agbaji, who played a lot more than Grady Dick did last time out. And obviously you had some struggles from Jacoby Walter, who I'm cheering for from a betting perspective. But Greg, I'm a big Jamal Shed fan today. I'm really hoping that news breaks my way.
So it's tricky because of my best guess is that Quickley and Shed both sit. And that's kind of how I've set my lineups up. But it's just really a best guess as of right now. But the reason this gets tricky is you and I talk about when guys are midday downgrades due to an illness, which is what Emmanuel Quickley was today. They typically, well, not they always sit, but more often than not, they end up sitting in this scenario, maybe like 4 out of 5 times. Here's the catch, though. Emmanuel Quickley was listed as questionable with the same illness on Sunday. He got upgraded to probable and ended up playing. I do wonder if this was a clerical error where somebody forgot to update an injury report from Sunday, because it's very odd that somebody would be questionable for the same illness, but a couple days ago get upgraded to probable and then play, and then show back up on the injury report a couple days later again as questionable. So that to me is a little bizarre, but I still look at it as he initially wasn't on the injury report. He got added as questionable in the middle of the day. So what I did with my lineups is, at least on the first run here, I didn't necessarily like zero out Jamal Shed and Emmanuel Quickley. But what I did do is I gave boost to all of the guys on the Raptors who would benefit in the event that they are out. So I've already got lineups that are preloaded in here with a good amount of Jacoby Walter and with who showed up in a lot more lineups. Scotty Barnes showed up in a lot of lineups. Mm-hmm. Brandon showed up in a lot of lineups. Those 3 Raptors are the ones I ended up with the most exposure to here. Jacoby Walter, Brandon Ingram, and Scotty Barnes. So in the event those guys are out, cool. I've already got these guys in my lineup. In the event that they play, I'll just run everything through the late swap tool and see what ends up coming out instead. But with that said also on this 2-game slate, it's not like I'm going to look back on this and be like, oh, I played Brandon Ingram or Scotty Barnes. That's the end of the world. Like, I'm fine that I have them in lineups anyway, even if those guys play.
Agreed. Those guys specifically, I guess the amount of Jacoby Walter I would want with his current PRA, again, 11.5, Greg. It's not exactly a huge number when you're looking at the betting markets. I already fired that up because I do think he just played abysmal against Boston. Boston went way, way up in that game. I think it's kind of thrown a couple of red herrings our way as far as what Toronto's rotation would look like, could look like. You saw 7.5 minutes for Grady Dick. You saw Agbaji play 22 after being out for a personal issue for a while. Played a little bit. He's been like marginally in the rotation, but a really big part of that rotation, 22 minutes. When you're talking about a 2-game slate, that's a pretty considerable margin at 3,500 between what you would want to have play if you end up boosting him. But no doubt about it. I mean, Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram, if you knew that Emmanuel Quickley was out, we've been talking about, it's such a headache for Toronto to have RJ Barrett and Scotty Barnes and all these guys together. Well, you have RJ Barrett out. It started to get priced somewhat more efficiently with him out. And now you would remove Quickley. That would be an awesome upgrade for those dudes.
Also, want to let you guys know as we go here that if you are looking to place some bets on NBA, not just for tonight, but for all of the games upcoming for the NBA Cup and really any NBA game that's played going forward, OddsShopper Portfolio EV currently 50% off with the promo code 200. So my bankroll content that I've been doing, it is nearly at 2x from the starting point at the beginning of the year. And my goal for the end of last week was to have it at the 2x mark, but I came $2 short, Eric. So what I'm doing this week is until I hit that 2x mark, the tools are 50% off with the promo code 200. So if you guys are looking for a transparent betting process, we've got all of our betting results stored in the portfolio lab. You can build portfolios around the markets that have been most profitable. You can now get 50% off with the promo code 200 and take advantage of this now, because as soon as my bankroll thread hits the 2x mark, then the deal is going to come down, and that could happen in the middle of the night tonight. So make sure to take advantage of this before the deal goes away, Eric. And the other thing, too, is because I hear what you're saying about Jacoby Walter, where it's, well, what ends up happening if these guys are totally agree with you. I don't really want much of Jacoby Walter if Jamal Shed and Emmanuel Quickley are both in. But with that said, there are other viable, cheap guys that I could end up swapping to instead. Not ones that I would like nearly as much as Jacoby Walter in the event these guys are out, but still, like if I have to go cheap and instead it's like Jordan Clarkson lands in lineups or something like that, you know, it's not really the end of the world either if I have to re-optimize, move things around. The other thing too is, like I said, I've got a good amount of Scotty Barnes and Brandon Ingram in lineups right now. So also if I end up late swapping those guys are in, I'm going to be able to get to cheaper players who aren't Barnes and Ingram, and then maybe some of those spots then give me the flexibility to get more expensive and upgrade Jacoby Walter to somebody else. So I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot with how I have things situated right now. I don't really know exactly what's going to happen with the Raptors guys, but my best guess is that we see Quickley and Shed sit. And in that event, I know what creates the most upside, and that's going to have my lineups with the flexibility to swap onto more of these Raptors guys. So that's the way that I'm going about it here. Anything else you want to add about the injury situation?
Karl Anthony Towns, he's got a questionable tag. I think you and I both lean towards him being in, but that being said, the Toronto Raptors are still a really good spot for him here up against Jakob Poeltl. I got to think that we're getting Cat playing, but in the event that he doesn't, I think Ariel Hukporti played a lot last time out against Orlando. And then obviously Mitchell Robinson, I think, becomes your de facto starter. I think both of them become very interesting 2-game slate type plays. Again, it was kind of strange to me last night seeing Hukporti in that rotation as much as what he's been of late, like kind of in a sneaky amount, because I feel like I've kind of surface watched Knicks games lately on NBA League Pass. Like they're not my favorite team to pull up and watch. It's a lot of ISO ball. Karl Anthony Towns annoys me now that he's not on the Timberwolves, and it is what it is. But Hukporti, 23 minutes for him. Thought that was a little surprising. He had been playing a little bit more anyway, 12, 13 minutes. They do like to slide Karl Anthony Towns down to the 4 in some of those scenarios. New coaching staff, new situation. I think Hukporti is probably like the 1% guy who, you know, coming off the bench for the Knicks, if you got Karl Anthony Towns out, that you would potentially have an opportunity to click on at 3,500 and nobody else would. So I would just say pay attention to the Cat news as well, because even though I'm playing Cat right now and I don't have kind of crazy concerns about it, I have a backup plan.
Yeah, so I am very confident that he ends up playing. It's an NBA Cup game, which is something that teams, like generally will take a little bit more seriously. It's like not quite a playoff game, but it's somewhere in between a regular season game and a playoff game. And Cat also was just dealing with calf tightness. It wasn't like a strain or anything like that. And then also just the way that the betting market has been set up and what the spread is for the game. Ever since it opened yesterday, it's just been assuming with all the lines that Cat was going to be in. So with it only being a 2-game slate, we should definitely talk about what happens if he's ruled out. But of all the players who are questionable in that second game, which it's only 3 who went over all of them, I'm most confident in Towns playing.
Okay, I'm with you. Again, I'm completely with you. I would be setting it like 90% that he plays. That is a high confidence level. I don't really think that comes to fruition, but if it does, again, it's good to have a backup plan.
Yeah, and then in the event that Towns does end up sitting, lots of usage to go around for the Knicks. Jalen Brunson would look quite a bit better. You also would have Josh Hart with some more rebound opportunities. I do wonder this. How many minutes do you think OG Anunoby could play? Because he has only been back for 2 games. This is going to be his 3rd game back from injury, and he's coming back from a hamstring injury. So that's something that teams really tend to be careful with. But you look at the minutes that we've gotten out of OG since coming back from injury, and we got in the game against the Jazz, 23 minutes for Anunoby. The game against the Magic, 27.5 minutes for Anunoby. Can he even play 34 minutes today? Like, regardless of whether Cat is in or out, I'm not getting to very much exposure to Anunoby, and it is because I do have some expectation that he's going to have not like crazy limited minutes, but not like full go.
Yeah, I think he could get to 30 plus. I think he could definitely play 30 plus minutes still. At 5,900, that's enough for me. He shot the ball unsustainably well against Orlando. 5 of 7 from 3, I think it was. So like, OG Anunoby's one of those dudes at 5,900. I wouldn't want to play him the same way I would Brunson. I'd just jam Brunson. I would think Yabusele probably gets enough minutes to maybe matter in that scenario. But again, I think the center minutes would be pretty much split 24-24 between Mitch Rob and Huck Porty. I think that they'd both be very viable, even in the same lineup. Yabusele probably picks up 16, 18 minutes in that spot, and Anunoby probably plays 30, 32. So I think it's actually pretty clear cut as far as like what happens to those minutes. If you were to walk into 34 plus, you're sitting on Yahtzee at 5,900 with OG Anunoby, but I'm with you. I think that would be a little unlikely still at this point. We have him for 31 as like, I think 32 would be like the tippy top of where I'd put him.
Yeah, that's where we're on with him right now. Is projected for 31 minutes there for OG Anunoby, and even he doesn't look very good in 31 minutes in our projection. Now, obviously, if Cat was to be ruled out, there's extra usage to be allocated and things look different. But right now, 31 minutes, 28.3 fantasy points for Anunoby is the projection, and it's just not massively appealing because I'm on the same page as you where I don't think we're getting 34, 35, 36 minutes out of Anunoby, and you probably need to project him for 3-ish more minutes in order for him to look like a pretty solid play on the slate. So Anunoby, for me, not somebody who I'm massively interested in at the moment. As far as other guys from the Knicks go, Mitchell Robinson, another just in the event that Cat's out, like he's the most obvious gainer from just a points per dollar perspective.
Agreed.
Anything else that you want to bring up as far as the injuries go in the later game?
Quickly and Shed are out. Who would potentially be your 5th starter for Toronto?
All right. So if both of them are out, then I am assuming we go. All right. So 4 of them are easy: Walter, Ingram, Barnes, Pirtle.
Yep.
And then the final guy in that scenario. All right. Let's think about this. If there's no Shed and no Quickly, I guess Grady Dick.
I think it's Agbaji, but I think you're getting point Barnes no matter what. Like point Ingram, point Barnes, however you want to like break it down between the two of them. There's a lot of times that we've seen Scotty Barnes in years past, NBA DFSers, OGs know, where you would see Scotty Barnes as the first guy written as on Underdog. He was the point guard for Toronto for a long stretch of time. He can play the 5, he can play the point. He is truly an anomaly in a lot of ways, does a lot of really good things defensively on a floor, and offensively can take over a team if he needs to. And yeah, I think you're probably just looking at one of Agbaji or Grady Dick. I think those are kind of the two chalk pieces. We'll say the one that's interesting to me, if it were to break it down, I mean, we've not seen a ton of minutes from maybe they do the spot starter thing, but AJ Lawson was kind of in that rotation a little bit. And in the interest of it being a 2-game slate, no stone unturned, and don't get crazy with anything like that. But AJ Lawson's a dude who's just randomly shown up and been in there. He's listed as a belief shooting guard, but he's actually a point guard. If you click on his player card on DK, it says shooting guard next to his name, but he's point guard only over there. We have so many other spots to go to, but Lawson's a decent enough fantasy guy. He's only played the one game. He just showed up here, 2 games ago, but played 13 minutes, was serviceable. I think AJ Lawson's at least the most interesting of those dudes that nobody would be clicking on.
They all suck. They all suck. Yep. They all suck once you get down there. It was kind of funny because I know because you had quote tweeted, but I did a write-up of the Raptors Knicks game that I posted to Twitter, which maybe 30 minutes after I posted it quickly got downgraded to questionable. And then the bet posted from the game immediately lost the value that I got in it. The line moved in favor of the Knicks by a point. But one of the things that was at least a little bit notable from the Raptors, at least at that point in time, is even though Jamal Shed isn't great, I was playing around with some of my projections. It actually moves the line by almost a full point. If you take Shed out for the Raptors, this was even with the assumption that Quickly would play, just because of no RJ Barrett, no Jamison Battle. The Battle one matters less, but the Raptors, if you go really deep into their bench, some of those guys aren't all that great. Like you're mentioning here, AJ Lawson, Grady Dick. So Jamal Shed kind of matters a little bit to the spread, just from a standpoint of the alternative options aren't all that appealing. That's kind of why it's hard for us to figure out who would be starting in his place. The reason that I think it would be a little bit more likely to be Grady Dick, do you know what Agbaji is shooting from 3 this season?
Is it 20% based on the way you said that?
10%.
That's bad.
So historically, and by the way, Grady Dick's having a poor 3-point shooting season so far as well. He's only shooting 32% from 3. But if you're going to be losing Quickly from the starting lineup, and also under the assumption that Quickly and Shed are both out, then I think they're really struggling to get shooting on the court. And that's where I think Grady Dick is just, considering the Agbaji shooting 10% from 3, I think Dick is a little bit better of a fit in that kind of standpoint. Josh was saying something similar as well before. By the way, we just got the starting lineup for the Raptors. Not for the Raptors, for the Magic. And a little bit different than anticipated. The Magic starting lineup, it is Suggs, Black, Bane, Boncaro, and Wendell Carter. So it is not going to be Tristan da Silva starting. We have Anthony Black starting. Any thoughts on that starting lineup, Eric?
Yeah, Tristan da Silva goes from 4K jam him to 4K dart. That's a weird way of putting it, but Anthony Black has been balling. It doesn't completely shock me, but I do have his under 3.5 assists. I hope that maintains. He averages 3.1 on the season, so I still think there's a world where I'm okay and not completely stone dead there. He's been playing 28 minutes a game as is. He's been playing right around 32, 34 a game as is, and the assist rate, it's been up a little bit lately, but that was against teams like Miami and San Antonio, a little bit more up in pace. Well, this is a Miami side that is now coming back to life here for us. Anthony Black is about to get pretty popular. He was already popular. I don't know what to say other than Tristan da Silva is the only guy who just kind of gets completely muted, but who's playing backup guard minutes now for Orlando? Or are they just going to play these guys 36 minutes, 38 minutes, for the first time and just really let it rip with 3 guards?
NBA Cup game. They do Tyus Jones off the bench too. Yeah. Tyus Jones is a very competent backup, but yeah, NBA Cup game, I think we're just seeing bigger minutes. Other than, I still think they're going to be kind of cautious with Paulo Boncaro, because we have also seen Boncaro not play full minutes with him coming back from injury. So Paulo Boncaro, let's see, his first game back, he played 20 minutes. That was against the Heat. His second game back, he played 24.5 minutes. So we have Boncaro projected for 28 minutes. We actually got one up to 30 minutes for Boncaro. I would be surprised if he plays well beyond that, but there's definitely going to be some sort of restriction for Paulo Banchero.
Agreed.
But Tristan da Silva, so like I already had a lot of exposure to Black, and that's going to be something that for like I'm not going to be getting to more of them that I already had because I already had a bunch. But I am curious to hear from you now. What does this do to Tristan da Silva? You talked about him as a dart throw, but how it's only a 2-game slate, which obviously changes the equation a little bit. But what kind of interest do you have as far as exposure to Tristan da Silva now?
I guess it just really depends how far down his ownership slides. If he falls to like 15, 20, I'll probably still get still like somewhat. But at 35, obviously, I'm hitting like full eject, 40% hitting full eject. Like, I don't love Tristan da Silva. The thing is, you kind of look at what the minutes are. I'm just kind of pulling up Popcorn Machine and going through some of these individual box scores. It's really hard because you just got rid of Franz and now you add in Paulo, and Paulo's going to play fewer minutes than Franz did. So like, there's more to still go around, I feel like, to the likes of the main characters, the Banes, the Blacks, the Suggs, but they need something off the bench. And that's where I think like Tyus Jones is probably really interesting to me as like somebody that nobody is really going to get all the backup point guard behind. I guess, I mean, they can go Anthony Black and stagger it somewhat, and that's probably going to be what they do. But he played 20, 21 minutes last time out against the Knicks. Jonathan Isaac's still there. He's always had a cap, like an eternal cap on his minutes. So you never feel good about what you're going to get out of him. You said it's an NBA Cup game. Obviously, we're factoring that in as well, where you could just see an influx of minutes for all these dudes. But I mean, Tristan da Silva, we thought he was just like for sure going to start. He only played 18 minutes, 16 of it in regular time. Then it was just complete blowout run for the last 2-minute rotation he had against the Knicks. I don't really like a 4K 16, 18-minute Tristan da Silva, Greg. Like, if that's going to be his role, that's just a disaster.
So we do have projections updated now. We've got da Silva in for 22 minutes. That puts him at 17.82 fantasy points at 4K. And let me see, do I have it pulled up? What was our projection before this on him was for 19 fantasy points. So yeah, we did lower his projection by about 2 fantasy points with the minutes coming down, which, you know, that's a pretty big deal. He went from a guy who was just at right under 20 fantasy points at 4K for a 2-game slate. That's a serviceable value option. I don't want to make it seem like 17.8 fantasy points at 4K is unplayable or anything like that, but I had him in 30% of lineups before, Eric. I'm about to rerun everything, and he's going to be in considerably less lineups now, I assume.
Agreed. I can't imagine a world where I'm going to get over like a quarter of lineups even, or 20% of lineups with him right now. I just strongly prefer a lot of other options. I mean, can he go out and knock down a bunch of shots? Sweet. But we had him projected for what? It was like 19.5 fantasy points. You remove that by 2, and then you're really getting into some wretched territory here. But Orlando is kind of playing to what's on the other side of them. I mean, Norman Powell is not your everyday 3 in the NBA. I mean, this is Davion Mitchell, Hero, and Powell. Those are 3 guards. They're matching up with 3 guards on the other side. And like, I'm just trying to think of like what that rotation looks like with Jovic and Hawkes and guys behind it there, where, you know, if Hawkes is out there for a long time and, you know, maybe that brings Mitchell off the floor for longer. I don't know. It just seems like Spo has been pretty reliably playing Mitchell quite a bit, no matter what. And yeah, it's probably going to be a lot more of these guards, just like 34, 36 minutes of these dudes. And that really makes it hard for me to find a lot of ways that Tristan da Silva burns me besides getting inferno hot from 3 coming in, you know, 21 minutes, 22 minutes, like on the high end. Like, this is such a gross thing. And if people already made their lineups 30 minutes ago, maybe they don't adjust. There's always that. We're in our little pocket, our little bubble here. So a lot to think about with it. And obviously it's a 2-game slate. So every little bit of ownership matters.
So here is the updated ownership projections. We've got them up here now for the Magic. Here's what we're looking at. 62% ownership to Anthony Black, Jalen Suggs, 55% owned, Desmond Bane, 41% owned, Wendell Carter, 38% owned. Tristan da Silva still playing some ownership, Eric. He's still 25.7% owned, which it's a factor of the 2-game slate. I'll see what happens when I update my lineups here, but I don't think I'm going to have the 25% the field has. I assume that I'll have like 10 to 15% or something like that.
Yeah, that's definitely what I'm going to do. Obviously, we're talking 20 max as well. I mean, this is just one of those spots where if he burns me, he burns me. But I just feel at 25%, that's just an egregious type of number for a guy who has a major minutes downside now. Like before, he just fit into lineups. It's like he'll get his first couple rotations no matter what. He'll get the first crack at it. And, if Anthony Black struggles such as life, but like, feels like Anthony Black is just locked in as like our value du jour now. Like I just reran lineups. I have 100% of him. Probably going to be keeping that to some extent. He's got shooting guard eligibility, which just makes it so hard to get away from. But yeah, I'm probably hitting almost full eject on Tristan da Silva now. I'd be surprised if I got over 15% now that I ran stuff.
Yeah, and then Anthony Black mentioned before that this is going to for sure be an upgrade for him in terms of expected playing time. He was already my most rostered player though, Eric. So yeah. He's going to go from my most rostered player to still my most rostered player, just with like marginally more. 80 to 92% or something like that. Yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah, it'll maybe not quite that high. I had I don't remember the exact amount because I closed the sim screen while I was updating my lineups here, but I think I was in the 70% range before. Now I'll probably be in like the 80% range, something like that. Yeah, I will also say this. If you are utilizing our sims today, shout out the dev team. They shared it with us yesterday. It is so cool. I have been building lineups. That's kind of what inspired me to kind of like write up something is like this afternoon, I was getting a lot of bets in and getting betting content out and then talking shit about calling our shot and, whatever else, mainly because I'm like, this is a terrible card. But anyway, that's a conversation for a different day. I love what I am looking at with the update to the Sims, being able to go in and kind of like small tweaks. I don't want to go crazy. I still want to trust the data and let it do a lot of the work for us. But like to be able to put a slight player exposure cap or to give a little ROI boost and then to be able to hit it and see what changes in the moment, it's game changing. The Sims have an absolute game changer for us now to be able to in the moment see exactly what those tweaks are doing rather than having to toggle out, toggle back in. So shout out the dev team. And if you guys want to check out the tools for yourself, link to sign up is down below in the YouTube description box. You could also take advantage of the link join program and sign up with any of our affiliate partners. For each one of those you sign up for, you will get yourself one free month of Core Sims access to a single sport of your choosing, and they stack. So you can sign up for multiple of them if you want as well. We've got a super chat here, Eric. This is from Ace of Spade. He wants to know our favorite options for DK tiers. So let's go ahead and look at tiers for today, beginning with tier 1. Cat, Scotty Barnes, Jalen Brunson, Paulo Banchero. That's going to be Scotty Barnes for me, Eric. Yeah, I love Scotty Barnes today. Tier 2. Well, it doesn't matter that Franz Wagner's in it, but Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, Brandon Ingram, and Josh Hart. So for me, if I'm going to kind of build around the assumption that Quickly and/or Shed aren't going to be out there, I'm going to go with Brandon Ingram in tier 2. Get off the shed. Yeah, no, I feel good about that. I'm with you. Tier 3, Norm Powell. We've got Mikal Bridges. We've got Desmond Bane. We've got Andrew Wiggins. And we've also got Jalen Suggs. For me in this tier, that is going to be Desmond Bane. It is Desmond Bane for me by a lot. Tier 4. Why is RJ Barrett's been out for like, why is he here? He's been out. All right. Anyway, Jaime Jaquez, OG Anunoby, Khalil Ware. We've got Davion Mitchell, Anthony Black, Jakob Poeltl. Give me Black. Give me Black. And tier 5, we've got Wendell Carter Jr., we've got Mamu, we've got Pell Larson, we got Mitchell Robinson, we got Fontecchio, we got Drew Smith, we got Jordan Clarkson. Give me Wendell Carter in this one. Wendell Carter as well. All right. I feel like you're copying me. I feel like they're playing the Miami Heat, Greg. Tier 6, Tristan da Silva, Goga Bitadze, Jamal Shed. We got Nikola Jovic, we got Jacoby Walter, Agbaji, Jones, and Hug Porty all in tier 6.
Dead placeholder.
I am going to go with Jacoby Walter. There's scenarios where, let's say, Quickly's out, Shed is in, then I think Shed's the pretty easy choice in that kind of scenario. But for now, I'll say Jacoby Walter as the guy to go with. So Ace of Spade, thank you very much for the super chat. And let's see what we've got for questions in Discord. In Discord, Eric, we've got, all right. JEW wants to know, do I change volume, process, strategy on 2-game slates? Any sim specific moves? All right. So a couple of things. For me, I typically end up playing a little bit less volume on 2-game slates. As far as process, strategy, I do think leverage matters a little bit more for 2-game slates in terms of trying to find guys like Eric had mentioned before. Tyus Jones, for instance. Anthony Black is going to be crazy, crazy popular. There was one of these scenarios last year. Was it with the Magic? There was a 2-game slate, Eric, where I think it might have been the Magic, where there was 2 guards. One of them off the bench was very popular. One of them was less popular. And we didn't know exactly what the minutes were going to be like. And you had made the point that you were just going to play a lot of the lower owned guy. And you end up being on the right side of it. Somebody got into foul trouble. I don't remember who the exact players were. It doesn't really matter. But the point that I want to bring up to JW is for 2-game slates, game theory ends up mattering a little more for NBA than it does on like an 8, 9, or 10-game slate where you can kind of just build lineups based on projections. So with that in mind, Eric, you had mentioned Tyus Jones as a potential low-owned leverage option. Is there anybody else who you look at on this slate who you'd potentially be getting to on a 2-game slate that maybe you wouldn't be playing on a full slate?
Yeah, I think it's really disgusting. Like it's actually really disturbing, but like Mitchell Robinson is kind of an interesting one just to kind of make way for. The rebound rate is already going to be in a place that's out of control. He's on pace to be the worst foul shooter in the history of basketball for an individual season, which is kind of a fun narrative. But, you're not looking at him for points. You're looking at blocks, stocks, points, just rebounds and stocks and finding your way to the top there. One thing I like to think about on 2-game slates is just like, where is the chalk going to gravitate at a certain position? And you can only play 2 centers, period, on any slate where it's just center only. And like right now, you've got Wendell Carter Jr. is kind of the 5,200 guy that I do like there. I don't really find a lot of leverage going to like a Patadze or, I brought up Huck Porty where he just played more than I expected. It was 1 game there, but like pretty confident Mitchell Robinson, somebody who's going to be in that rotation. Pretty confident he is somebody who can get things done very, very quickly. And you kind of look through ownership. I'm kind of getting through some of the update stuff. Like I like the idea of in some lineups where he is like the lone center and I get to react to news. So like, let's say that Wendell Carter Jr. doesn't play well. There's also the late swap scenarios where I look at it and I'm like, oh, I'll play Karl Anthony Towns, power forward center. I'll get to more of those lineups. So like, I think about the position as well. And what could you possibly put at that center position and seeing what happens with some of the early ownership and being able to kind of like look at my lineups through that lens, because Wendell Carter, no matter what, is your most popular center on this slate. Bam Adebayo, I believe, is the second most popular center on this slate. If they both fail in any way, shape, or form, think about what you're putting in that center spot specifically. Or, hey, let's say they kind of put up decent enough margins. Well, maybe I flip the build and I get into that 4,300 kind of layer and I'm really looking for that nuke. So it's kind of a little push and pull of the specific position in addition to just simply late swapping into the best possible lineups.
So one other thing as well that I think is going to give us a pretty good advantage on 2-game slates is we now have in the Stokastic Sims, the late swap tool, live scoring is taken into account. So one other thing too, that I think makes a ton of sense for 2-game slates, you want to do a late swap as close to the second game starting as possible. So you have the most updated player scores being taken into account. That is going to be so much. It matters on full size slates. Like I have a feeling that at least to some extent, it's doing late swaps with the live in-game scores has been improving my lineups. Like I don't think it's a coincidence that shortly after we released that, I won one of the main GPPs on Sunday on DraftKings. I've been doing, I always do a lot of late swaps. I'm doing them even more frequently now to make sure I'm keeping those live scores accounted for. I think there's a massive advantage to late swapping on 2-game slates using the live scoring in the late swap tool.
100% agree. It's been, I mean, everything the dev team has done in the last week, 2 weeks. I mean, they've been doing it for a couple months, getting everything ready and getting everything updated on our end. But like, it's immediately taken hold. I mean, yesterday was a lot of fun, even though there wasn't a ton that I ended up changing. But I didn't play on Sunday, obviously, and obviously just wanted to let you win a GPP. That was nice of me. But I can't tell you enough how much better the Sims are at the moment. I mean, it's just so much fun.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me win. I appreciate
Very
it.
Very nice of me. You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Let's see. We got a handful of more super chats here. We've got Ryan Rennebaum left us a super chat, although there is no question attached here. Let's see what is in chat. Let's see. Ryan Rennebaum. Was there a question from him? Can I find? Oh, here we go. Wants us to put a lineup into the single lineup Sims. Yes, I could plug this in. Let's check this lineup out for Ryan. He has got here a DraftKings lineup. And let's see who he wants us to put in. It is going to be for, by the way, any of the packages you guys sign up for here at Stokastic do come with access to our single lineup sim, where if you are somebody who likes to hand build, you can hand build it right in here. And you could see how that lineup actually sims against the field. He's got Suggs. He's got Bane at shooting guard.
Oh.
He's got, who else? Bridges, Barnes. Wendell Carter Jr. So as a heads up, most likely lineups that have Jacoby Walter are not going to sim out well right now. He's projected for 15 fantasy points. Like, you need some guys out for lineups with him to look a little bit better. Jordan Clarkson at utility. No, this lineup doesn't work. All right, let's see. No, it should. Because Jordan Clarkson is, why was he not showing up at, okay, there we go. Okay. Now let's go back. I don't know why I wasn't showing up there. No big deal. All right, Walter. And then at utility, Tyler Hero. This is, all right, yeah, $100 salary on the table. All right, let's sim this out and see how it looks. I don't have an issue with you using Walter as a placeholder for right now, but there is a chance that as of right now that, 16.9% sim ROI, that's largely going to be because of Jacoby Walter being in it. Doesn't mean you need to get off him, but if we do get quickly and shed in, then you're going to want to swap off of Jacoby Walter. Next super chat here. It is from Corey Randall. Is Tristan DeSilva even a play today? So the answer is yes, just not as much as before. Like, it's a 2-game slate. I just ran the Sims. I got him in 16% of lineups. He was expected to start. It's not like the Magic are making some massive error by not starting Tristan DeSilva. I think he's a little bit overowned now that he's coming off the bench, though.
Correct.
And let's see, was there another super chat in here? Yes, Mitch Williams, love you guys. Just saying thanks. And then also Eric, my man, he says.
My dude.
All right, some other questions from Discord. We got Q Zuna wants to know any interest in AJ Lawson if one of Quickly or Shed sit. Depends on the starting lineup. My guy's going to be Jacoby Walter, though. As of right now, I'm planning on Jacoby Walter being my guy if Shed and or Quickly are out. What are your thoughts on AJ Lawson?
Yeah, I brought him up. I said he's like the most interesting of the guys that I think would be at the lowest owned. He's harder to make lineups work for right now unless you just boost Shed. And then you're probably leaving salary on the table unless you can get it to work for you somehow, some way. I think one of the workarounds is just simply giving boosts to everybody there, getting yourself to a little bit more of Ingram, a little bit more of Barnes, a little bit of everything, just so you've got multiple lineup spots that are kind of taken up. And when that news comes, you're able to kind of adjust things and shuffle it around as need be. But AJ Lawson, if he's starting, looks interesting. I doubt I would like him more than I like Tyus Jones, who's going to be somebody at 3,600 I'm taking a little bit of a stand on FanDuel with. just because you're playing 9 dudes. He's kind of in that no man's land there where he's just a lot cheaper than Jamal Shedd's 4,200. I also like him for like a FanDuel guy. You can play Anthony Black at shooting guard over there as well, but kind of boxes you out of playing Davion Mitchell, who probably becomes an interesting guy who might end up not pulling as much ownership as he should. But yeah, a lot of push and pull on this slate. But the short answer is AJ Lawson only if he's really starting.
And then also, don't forget, guys, just a few minutes left in the show. If you want more content from myself and Eric, head on over to Tails. Either go to tails.bet or download the Tails app. You can turn on notifications over there. So I post a bunch of bets from the Portfolio V tools over to Tails. And if you want to get the best lines before some of them move, the best way to do it is download the Tails app, turn on notifications after following me. And then when I post a bet, it'll get sent directly to your phone. And then Eric, what's some of the free stuff that you've been posting on Tails lately too, in addition to the package that you have up there?
Yeah, tons of stuff. I've got Pick'em galore, Prize Picks Underdog. I usually try to throw at least one free card out for everybody every single day. I don't think I've missed posting in months. It's actually been years if you go back to the Discord days, but I'm throwing Pick'em cards out there for free, posting over on X, but primarily Tails is where you can find all of the really good stuff. I'm just throughout the DFS, the NBA slate starter. So if you guys want to know kind of some of my takes, I'll probably throw a nuke or two out there early for the people in the next couple days. We've got a little bit of time to be able to maneuver it. And then also doing some collabs. Had a collab today over at Tails with a bunch of other great content creators, people that I really know and respect over there. And you're going to want to be following over there. So tails.bet/Lindy if you want to get it.
Yep. Or just download the Tails app and give us a follow over there. Whatever is most convenient to you, that's why we've got both of them available as an option. Either just going right to the tails.bet or downloading the app. All right. What do we got for other questions in the final couple minutes here? No super chats. We do have a Bando asked us quickly or Powell. I'll say quickly for now, at the very least, for him to be a placeholder to give yourself more maneuverability for late swap there.
2 minutes left. 2 minutes left. 73% filled. The quarter is on FanDuel. If you jam the quarter right now, you're going to get some really nice EV.
Okay. All right.
That was my Emac.
Are there other contests on FanDuel that by the way, the $5 on FanDuel that doesn't have quite as much overlay, but 41,000 of 47,000 entries in the $5 part of that. I think the weird start time probably threw some people off there. But we also got Krebsy wants to know thoughts on Mamu for tonight. There are other directions I prefer to go to with the Raptors, especially because if we get the guys out for Toronto, like Mamu isn't one of the guys who directly benefits. We're looking at Jacoby Walter who would benefit, Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram. I only have 8% of Mamu right now. I don't know if he's somebody you're all that interested in, Eric.
No, I'm not.
And then we've got Young Metro Boomin wants to know favorite FanDuel plays at each position. So I will tell you to close out here the players I ended up getting the most exposure to at each position on FanDuel. At point guard, that is Anthony Black. At shooting guard, that would also be Anthony Black, so Jalen Suggs. At small forward for me, Brandon Ingram. At power forward, that is going to be Scotty Barnes. And then finally, at center, Wendell Carter Jr. Eric, any final thoughts for the people before we close this out?
Pay attention to news, jump in the Discord. One of the great things about being here at Stokastic. Otherwise, hit that like button. It's good to see everybody here on a lovely Tuesday. Haven't been done a show with Greg. It feels like forever. So always good to see him on Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Yeah, guys, thank you all very much for watching. Good luck with your lineups today. And one more time, do not forget that this could be the last chance to take advantage of the 200 promo for Portfolio EV. Just head on over to OddsShopper, or there's a link down below in the YouTube description box. If you sign up for Portfolio EV, by the way, your first 7 days are free no matter what. But on top of the 7 days, you're also going to be getting 50% off after those 7 days run up. So if you want to sign up for Portfolio V and get yourself 50% off, you can even test it with the free trial and see if it is something you do or don't like. And you could cancel even before the end of those 7 days. So if you don't even want to take advantage of the 50% off, you just use them for free for 7 days before actually making your decision. But use this promo code 200. It'll get you 50% off when you do check out OddsShopper Portfolio V. Other than that, guys, thank you all very much for watching the show. Like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Peace.